Welcome everyone to another episode of the Shade and Shit Talking Podcast. I'm your host TK, and as always, I thank you guys for tuning in. Now, this episode is dedicated to the life and the memory of Mr. Nipsey Hussle. We lost a real one this past week, and this is something that I probably would never get over. It will be stuck with me for a long time. Now, a few days ago, I wrote an article on blackwithnochaser.com, www.blackwithnochaser.com, entitled When It's Bigger Than Music. And in this article, I talked specifically about the death of Nipsey. I referenced the death of Tupac and Marvin Gaye and Biggie, Prince and Michael, some of the others. And I talked about how Nipsey's death was more influential to me than any of those other ones. Now, we know that in our celebrity-obsessed culture, especially with the internet and Instagram and Twitter and all these social media platforms and the ease of access to these celebrities, we know how some are viewed almost deity-like. Some are viewed as almost family. And when they pass, we feel like we've lost somebody that was very near and dear to us. Like we know them on a ultra personal level. And quite honestly, this is kind of the feel that I had when I heard about Nipsey getting murdered. Like, I'm not sitting here saying I personally know the man or knew him or whatever, but it was somebody that I had a lot of love and respect for well before this happened. Like, I respected the man and his works outside of music more than I loved his music. Now, the intro to this episode was an instrumental from Blue Laces, and that song is my favorite Nipsey Hussle song of all his songs, of all his albums, from Crenshaw, Slauson Boy, Victory Lap. That was my favorite. And what I loved about it was it wasn't about, look at me, I got this, I do this, I do that, you don't. It wasn't about, the usual tropes of rap music. Flashy cars, flashy jewelry, drugs, women, popping bottles, private jets, so on and so forth. This man was giving instructions through his music. Instructions on how to move the right way, both in health and in wealth. Like he was all about building black people. He was in the business of building black people, his people, our people, the community. And he was giving game on the things that we could do in our own areas to improve the lives of those around us. Take, for instance, where he's from, where he was, Crenshaw and Slauson. Like that plaza that he was in was his. But a few years back when he was younger, that same plaza he couldn't hang out at. The owners would run them off. So he bought it. And he used it as a means of improving that area tremendously. And not just from an economic standpoint, but from a personal standpoint, from a community pride standpoint. That's what he did. That's what he was working towards, to go even bigger than that. And if you read some of the articles and stories about it, I saw a little documentary about it, a news story about it, probably 3 or 4 months ago. And in it talked about second chances. And we all know in this country, especially in this country when it comes to black folks, we don't get many second chances, if any at all. I mean, quite honestly, according to those who are not us, there are no redeemable qualities within us anyway, so why bother? But that wasn't the case with him. Like, he gave jobs to convicted felons. He gave them a chance to redeem themselves, and not redeem themselves, in the eyes of the others. Who gives a fuck about that? I mean, they paint us in one color anyway, so who cares? But he gave them a chance to redeem themselves for themselves. A chance for them to say, hey, I have the capabilities and the means to take care of myself and take care of my family the right way, and not revert back to the shit that got me in trouble in the first place. And I think that is huge within itself. That is huge. He also helped the homeless in his area, gave a few of them jobs and employed them, and, gave them a chance to better their situation, rather than just walking over them while they're laying on the sidewalk and telling them to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, even though they don't have any feet. Like, he was the anti-system. And he knew this, and he talked about it. He preached it every day. He preached it in his music. He didn't just talk that shit and let the days, roll by. He talked it and he walked it. And it's not too many we can honestly say that about, if I'm just being real. Like, he was Jay-Z on a smaller, more personal scale. That's what Nipsey was. Cause Jay put in a lot of work financially, helping a lot of people. And Nipsey was on his way to being in that position financially to do a lot more. But what he was doing with what he had was huge. Honestly, on the same level, because of where it was and how he did it and who he did it with and for. And it's a damn shame that he's no longer here, because I honestly think he would have really made a huge difference, and not only the lives of those on Crenshaw and Slauson, but the neighboring spots in different cities and different states, like all over. Because that's, that was his dream. And it was taken away from not only him, but from all of us. Because what he was doing was for all of us. Whether it was directly or indirectly, it affected all of us and would have affected all of us. Man. And, like I said, I was talking about in the article, and I'm not saying this as a comparison per se to Pac or Big, but this death was a lot bigger, man. It was a lot more far-reaching than just musical contributions. I mean, when Pac died, I was 18 years old. I was self-centered, self-absorbed, selfish, all about me, just blind to the ways of the world for the most part. Like, I mean, I knew about, racism and brutality and all of that. I mean, shit, they weren't fucking around with us growing up at all on a personal level. But when Pac died, my first thought was, damn, what the hell I'm supposed to do about not getting new music now from Pac? Granted, I was completely wrong about that. I mean, he had a new album seemed like every 8 months or whatever for a long time. But that's all I thought about. Like, man, I won't get to see another Pac movie. That he won't be able to do another Juice or another Poetic Justice type of movie or another Gridlocked or anything else, It was all about how this is affecting me. Same with Big. How's that affecting me? And Big was like my favorite artist. I love Ready to Die, love Life After Death. I thought he was the greatest ever. And that's all I worried about. Like, man, what about his catalog? Like, what am I supposed to do now? But that's what makes the death of Nipsey so different and so difficult for me to just process and grasp. Because the 40-year-old me, in looking at it like, man, what about me? I'm looking at it about, what about the thousands he was touching right there in his own neighborhood? What about the tens and hundreds of thousands he was touching right there in the state of California? What about the millions of people across the United States that he was touching with his actions and with his plans? And more importantly, what about his children and his wife and his immediate family and his extended family? Like, we always talk about protecting our family, protecting our women. And Eric Holder took away somebody's protector. Not just a financial provider or a protector in that light, but a protector of everything. Like, that man was everything to a lot of people, both financially and emotionally. And he was taken for a senseless, cowardice reason. And that's a goddamn shame. And quite honestly, I hope that dude suffer every single day of his life if he get to keep it. Every single fucking day. Now, I know some of y'all might think, oh man, don't be like that. We supposed to forgive and forget. First of all, I never forget. And I'm just not in the forgiving business on just everything so quickly. I just can't forgive and move on. I don't let it eat me up inside, but just some things you cannot forgive and just walk away from and say, that guy sorted out. Some you can, but this ain't one of those things. And don't get me wrong, I'm not wishing bad on anybody, but I'm not gonna pretend that I wish any good for this man. And it doesn't matter that it was Nipsey that he killed. I mean, let me just say this. If you watch the video of it, and I watched it one time and I couldn't watch it again, I won't watch it again. But in this video, he ran up on him, he shot him, he walked away, he came back, shot him again, he walked away, he came back, shot him 2 or 3 more times, and then kicked him in his head. Nigga, that was some evil shit. Just plain evil. And you just can't combat evil with forgiveness. I can't. Not to that level. And it didn't matter, and it wouldn't matter to me if that was Tyrone doing that to Pookie. It don't matter that it's a celebrity. I'm talking about just the humane part of it all. So I wouldn't be cool with it regardless. It's very unsettling. Now it makes it even harder to deal with, considering who it was done to. Yes, I will say that. But it's wrong and fucked up nonetheless. And while, speaking of which, a lot of people talked about Nipsey's death as being a conspiracy. And, but before the footage came out, a lot of people saw it. But they talked about him being killed because of a documentary. And I didn't believe that from the jump. But seeing that 37, 40 seconds or whatever it was piece of footage really affirmed to me that it wasn't a conspiracy. That shit was personal. Personal as hell. From someone who was a jealous-hearted, hateful person. I mean, the whole Dr. Sebi conspiracy thing just didn't sit well with me at all. At all. Because the works that man did and the things that he talked about, it's public knowledge, for one. Like, I read about some of his stuff before Nipsey even started bringing him up. Like, a lot of people didn't know who Dr. Sebi was until Blue Laces 2 came out. When he dropped a line talking about, he listened to Dr. Sebi because he's preaching health, and fuck with Rick Ross because he's preaching wealth. Hell, and I'm willing to bet half the people that don't think he talking about the rapper Rick Ross. But anyways, the shit that Dr. Sebi was talking about was public knowledge. Anybody could see, black, white, Asian, other. So that just didn't fly with me. It wasn't like he was about to drop this documentary that had some top secret Area 51 type of shit behind it that nobody knew but Nip. I just didn't see that being the case. Now, what I will say is that if somebody would have came to me and said, T, listen, man, I believe they killed him because of some of the other stuff that he was doing. And by the other stuff, I'm talking about he was preaching the power of group economics. He was preaching about building within your own communities. He was preaching about creating opportunities within your own community, making money in your own community, and spreading the wealth among everybody in your own community to be self-sufficient, self-sustaining. He was talking about changing the idea and changing the minds of people within the community from woe is me to fuck it, we got it, we don't need you. He was changing he was trying to shift the the idea of the dollar staying in the community for 6 or 7 hours to days and weeks at a time, like some of the others. Black empowerment, black wealth, generating black wealth, building that legacy for future generations. If somebody would have came to me and said, hey, that's what it was, I find that more plausible. I find that a lot more believable because of the exclusivity of it. What he was talking about was for us and by us, not what Dr. Sebi was talking about. That was for everybody, whether he wanted it to be or not, but that was for everybody. I've seen others, non-black people talking about some of the same stuff. That shit was for everybody. Eating healthy and staying away from GMO and processed foods and natural eating and using natural shit, that's everybody. Now, as far as him curing AIDS and cancer and all of that, I don't know. I have yet to see one person who has proof that it happened. Maybe I'm not looking hard enough, but that's neither here nor there. Because again, that was for everybody. It wasn't exclusive to the black community. But what Nipsey was doing and what he was talking about and what he was building towards was. And, and that in itself is something that we all should run forward with it and continue building off of and building towards. I saw an interview he was doing. He was, kind of like a TED talk or whatever. He was talking about, Walt Disney, Mickey Mouse, and I believe Hello Kitty and all of them, and how their brands and, how they were selling all this stuff and how rap should take advantage of it and do the same type of thing. And he said one word that just stuck with me. He said it a lot of times, and the word is opportunity. He was a rapper, a content creator. That's what rappers do. They create content. But he created something that, in my opinion, is the biggest thing that you can create for your people, for your community. And that's opportunity. He created that. And that is what we all should strive to do. Not only create opportunities for ourselves, but use our platforms, use what we have to create opportunities for those around us, for the rest of our people. And that's why I loved and respected this man so much. Because again, he wasn't on the usual rap shit. I got money, I got bitches, I got cars, I got ice, I'm popping bottles, I'm buying the bar, G4 flying, blah, 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 blah. That's not what he was all the damn time. And, granted, he rapped about it somewhat. I mean, he had it. But it wasn't his makeup. That wasn't all he was. His brother said something, real interesting, like Nip could show up in any neighborhood all alone with $150,000 worth of ice on his neck and an $80,000 Rolex, and he by himself. And the people loved him. Now, I know all people ain't gonna love you. That's just fucking impossible. But that spoke volumes to me about who he was. That spoke volumes to me about what he meant to so many people outside of Crenshaw and Slauson. And he was taken away by a coward. A fucking coward. And speaking of conspiracies, a part of me kind of wished that it was a conspiracy. That was an exposed conspiracy. I really did. Because that would hurt a lot less than seeing that it was somebody familiar to him. Than seeing that it was one of our own who did it for free, basically. Out of jealousy and spite and hatred. Like, that hurt worse than, if it was, somebody, the government sent somebody in the men in black suits and killed him. And I know people say, man, they always use our own. I would rather it be that. Like, at least I could say this nigga sold out. He sold himself for a few dollars. But this just wasn't the case. This was one of our own perpetuating the same cycle of bullshit. That hurt worse than anything. And, speaking of hurting, seeing him on TV and seeing who's representing him, Christopher Darden. For those of you who don't know who he is, he was a part of the team that was, prosecution team that was trying to take OJ down. Like, his relationship with the black community is shit. Just pure shit. And honestly, I know he don't give a fuck. Let's not kid ourselves. But at some point, you gotta be like, nah, I ain't taking that case. When I saw it, I was like, oh, come on, Chris. Come on, man. Anybody but this nigga. But I think he's doing it not because he believes Holder is innocent, because he's not. I think this is one of those, he's looking down the line and seeing that, this is another check that's going to come to him like it did for the OJ thing. He's getting residuals off of TV movies and movies and all of this shit. And I think that he feels like this would be another one of those things because of how beloved this man was. And because of who he was and what he means to so many people. But, it's sad. I just hope a lot of good comes from this. I just hope that his death is not forgotten in vain and people just say, it is what it is. It was very encouraging to see the different gangs come together and march down Crenshaw. And I hope that this furthers that relationship and this fosters a real truce, a real relationship between these people, and they decide we gonna keep this man's name going by continuing to build in our communities, by continuing to create these opportunities and create these jobs and create, all of these good things that he was doing. Renovating parks, renovating basketball courts, partnershiping with people to create STEM programs for children, creating creative spaces for people to thrive and survive and create, continuing to hire felons and help the homeless and buy shoes for children and feed the masses. Like, this man did everything for a lot of people. And I really truly hope that those people continue to pay it forward, because that's what he was doing. Again, he didn't just teach people to fish. He didn't just feed them fish, he taught them to fish. And I just hope we all continue to do the same. In in closing on this, I just want to send my heartfelt condolences to his wife and his children, his immediate family, his close friends and relatives, those who he meant so much to. My heartfelt, prayers and condolences go out to you in this tough time. There's a lot of hurt going around over this, a lot, and I just couldn't begin to imagine the hurt and the pain that they feeling from somebody who they saw and talked to every day. So I just hope, we all just keep them uplifted. And I brought up Jay-Z earlier. I want to send a huge salute to him as well, for establishing a trust fund, a $15 million trust fund for this man's children. Like, that's real love. That's real respect right there. That huge. Like, he signed a management deal with Rock Management, and that's not something that you normally see. They don't have to do that, but they did. He did. Shout out to Jay for that. Like, again, Nipsey, Jay, these are the types of people that are laying the foundation, the blueprint that we all could follow and be prosperous, not only for ourselves, but for those around us. And honestly, that'll be the only way that we can really and truly be free from the constraints and shackles of this society that has built so many systems in place to hold us down and to keep us back. It's to build from within, become stronger from within, and take care of ourselves from within. So again, shout out to Jay. My condolences to Nipsey's family and his fans, myself being one of them. And I hope we all can just take this and use this as a springboard to bigger and better things for each and every one of our communities. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, gather around for this week's episode of Colonizing Nonsense. My first colonizer nonsense moment takes me to Manhattan, New York, the Big Apple, where this bitch should have got a big ass whooping. Headline: Woman hurls racial slurs, hits man with chair in Manhattan McDonald's. God damn. First of all, the ice cream machine probably ain't working. Now you gotta duck from a fucking chair? Man, please. Chinatown, Manhattan. A woman allegedly went on a rampage inside a Manhattan McDonald's, hurling anti-Hispanic remarks before throwing a chair at a man. Now, this incident happened end of March, about 10:30 a.m. inside a Canal Street Chinatown McDonald's. Now, the police, they released a video of the suspect in the Canal Street subway station. They said that this woman walked up to a customer inside the restaurant and shouted anti-Hispanic statements, calling the man a fucking Mexican and another racial slur before picking up a chair and hitting him with it. Bruh. You should have beat the hell out of her. I'm just saying. Now, this is what the guy had to say. And I quote, "In my opinion, I would say she's a racist." What you mean? She is. But I don't know if she has some other mental problems or something. The victim, 33-year-old Miguel Ucho, said, "But for me, it was a racist person." Well, no shit. Let me tell you what I have a problem with that statement, man. Why is it they, and you know who they are, always get the benefit of the doubt when they do some fucked up shit, man? It's always they had some type of emotional problems, was going through something, and this and that. No, they mean, they racist, they crazy, they full of shit. Don't give them an out, because she damn sure wasn't giving you no out. She was trying to knock your ass out, and you on the slick side, giving her support. Man, please. Listen, y'all out of control with this shit, man. Y'all just can't keep running up on people, talking all this bullshit, putting your hands on people. You gonna fuck around and get killed. That's all it is to it. That is all it is. Now, the things turn ugly real quick. Miguel says the woman hit him in the head with the chair, ran into the bathroom, and then came back out and continued hitting him with an umbrella. He was left with a contusion on his face and had to be taken to the hospital. Bruh, you lazy as hell. I'm sorry, bruh. I hate that she was a racist, hate she called you slurs, but goddamn, after she hit you with a chair, you let her hit you with an umbrella too? Hell no. She'd have needed that umbrella with me, because I was gonna rain lefts and rights on her bitch ass for hitting me the first time. Come on, man. You got to do better. Stick up for yourselves, because that's the only way them motherfuckers is gonna learn. My next colonizer nonsense moment takes me to San Jose, California, where instead of getting a full tank of gas like she expected, she got an earful of some racist bullshit. Headline: Woman targeted for speaking Spanish in racist rant caught on camera. God damn. So, when this customer visited a Shell gas station on Bernal Road in South San Jose, she went to go get some gas. Instead, local resident Gracia Moran got an earful of racial remarks. Now, on the video, what happened was she was greeted initially by an employee who spoke Spanish. They spoke in conversation in Spanish. A short time later, a second employee emerged and demanded that the two speak English. Now, in all of this, the customer went up to this lady and apologized. Mistake number one. Ain't nowhere in hell. But she said, "Excuse me, I'm sorry." All she was saying is she was greeting me in Spanish. "How's my day going?" And she said, "I don't care. You talking English because this is America." See. Listen. First of all, you should have cussed out immediately for getting in y'all goddamn business. That was mistake number one, for not doing that. Mistake number two, you apologize as if you did something wrong. Listen, English is not the language of this country. You can speak whatever the fuck you want to speak, and there's nothing they can do about it. Absolutely nothing. Now, the minutes-long confrontation was caught on camera. This interaction happened while the customer had a phone in one hand and her 18-month-old son in her other arm. Now listen, I get it. I get you didn't want to beat ass because you had her son, but at that particular moment, Junior would have had to sit on the counter while I whooped this lady's ass. That's just all it is to it. Now, in this video, the employee, who should be a former employee, she had this to say: "You can do whatever you want because you are not a United States citizens of the United States." See, that's just how stupid. She can't even talk right. Just stupid. Racist and stupid. Now, the lady replied that she was born there, and after that, the irate racist demanded proof. Proof. She replied, "If you live here, then prove it to me, motherfucker." Come on, man. That conversation shouldn't have been no more than 10-15 seconds after you slapped the shit out of it and walked away. I'ma just tell y'all this, my Hispanics friends, my Mexican friends, and those who aren't my friends. Y'all see how it is. Y'all see what it is. You got to stop sticking up for them. Y'all talk about us and turn against us. They hate y'all motherfuckers too. They do. I'm telling you from what I know, from what has been said, from what has been shown. They hate y'all too. You need to deal with it and process that shit and understand it. Now, speaking of the video, while all this is going on, the lady made sure to point out the fact that she hoped that Trump builds the wall again. They showing you. And that's all I'm going to say about that. With April being International Black Women's History Month, let me be one of the first to say thank you to all of you for all of your love, your hard work, your dedication, and the sacrifices that you have made and continue to make on our behalf. The world owes you all a debt of gratitude. You have excelled and overcome in spite of all the obstacles thrown at you from everyone. White, black men, white women, period, everybody. You have been at the forefront of every movement, only to be eschewed to the side once their goals were achieved. You have been doubted, mistreated, misused, Yet, you are the first ones there to forgive, there to help, there to console. Just there. You are beautiful both inside and out, and there is absolutely no one like you. No one. So, for all of that, I say thank you, and I salute you all. Now, I ran across a person that I wanted to spotlight for this episode, and I'm hoping to do this for the remainder of April. Spotlight a different person. But the person that I ran across, and this was news to me, and I thought it was awfully cool and something dope that I thought I should share. But the person that I wanted to start off with is Miss Mary Elizabeth Bowser, also known as Mary Jane Richards. Now, she was a Union spy during the Civil War. She was a former slave who worked in the White House. Now, she played a very integral role because she was a servant for Jefferson Davis, and she used to take information that he would just blatantly leave out on his desk and on tables or whatever, just leave out because she was black, she was a woman, and it was just assumed that she was dumb, that she couldn't read, that she didn't know anything but to serve. Well, she showed their ass. So what she would do was she would collect all of this intelligence, and she worked as a seamstress or whatever, so she would sew the info into dresses and send them to different people. Brilliant. And she also was said to have a photographic memory, and he could not figure out where this mold was coming from within his rankings, and he figured it was everybody except for her. And that was, like I said, that was something that I thought was just very awesome, and something that just shows the brilliance of black women, just a natural brilliance, a natural leadership that they have, that's inherent in them, and just how smart she was. Again, like I said earlier, they have been doubted, black women have been mistreated, and she used all of those stereotypes and what they thought about her, she used them all against them, and she helped to bring the Confederacy down. And I just think that is awesome, an awesome achievement. She was also I believe she's in the military museum as well. So again, I thought that was something pretty cool to share with you all, and I hope it's something that you share forward, pass forward to your kids and whomever, just to let them know the greatness throughout history of black women in the worst times ever, and the resiliency and the resolve that they have shown since forever. Again, I salute you all. This week in sports, the
Negro Please
edition starts me off in the NBA, where Paul Pierce just embarrassed himself bigly.
Paul, riddle me this. Who's the better NBA player?
That's easy. I can say that off the bat. That's me. If you give me Shaq, if you give me LeBron,
they did on the big three.
We got that late, but early in my career.
I mean, what are you doing right now?
If you give me these guys early in my career.
Well, let me ask you this. What would have been a perfect time for you, Paul? Let's make sure we get this right.
When I was 24 years old,
okay.
You give me Shaq. When I'm 24, 25, you give me LeBron and Bosh. I'll be sitting on 5 or 6 championships, easy.
Negro, please.
Man, listen, I like you, Paul. I really do. I think you had a very good career, and I was pulling for you back in 2008 when y'all beat the Lakers because I can't stand them niggas. But look, you are way off with this one and way out of line with comparing yourself to other players. And this is not the first time you've been wrong. Matter of fact, you are a habitual line stepper when it comes to comparing your career with the careers of others. Now, as far as D-Wade goes, somebody really need to put you in your place about this. Somebody really does.
And since Dwayne Wade isn't here to defend his honor, I'm here.
No, props out to Dwayne Wade. Magnificent.
No, it's my turn. My turn. Don't backtrack. Don't backtrack. He's made all NBA first team twice. Paul hasn't done it. He made all NBA 8 times to your 4. Ooh. He's made all defensive team 3 times to your 0.
Ooh, 0. That's rough.
He's won 1 scoring title. You weren't able to win the scoring title.
That's too bad.
He has 3 rings. You have 1 ring.
Ooh, 3 is bigger than 1.
Yikes. Listen, that was some petty shit. Like, Jalen went petty. But what made that even worse was the fact that Michelle Beadle was in the background being the hype man and shit, really killing this man's ego and pride. I mean, if you watch the tape, you could see his soul literally leave his body as they was breaking this shit down in between them. But wait, there's more. They weren't the only ones who weighed in on it. Dwayne Wade's son Zaire had this to say, and I quote, "I don't want to hear it. Dude played 19 years and won 1 ring. Not to mention we did knock them out the playoffs, right? Oh, alright. Now that's the truth." Woo, my nigga's catching L's from his co-workers and from the kids of the nigga that he talked about. Come on, Paul, man, just let it go. Stop with all this foolishness, man. Just enjoy retirement, bask in the glow of winning the championship and the accomplishments that you did make in your career. But stop comparing yourself to other people because you lose every time you do this. In other NBA news, all the talk has been going on about this being the last year for Kevin Durant with the Golden State Warriors, and that his team of choice will be my New York Knicks. Won't he do it? Yes, he will. Now, all I'm going to say is this. I love KD's game, and I'm really excited about the fact that he possibly could come to New York as well as Kyrie Irving and join Zion Williamson as the first overall pick because we sucked that bad this year. But this is not what I'm here to talk about. What I am here to talk about is something that KD said on Bleacher Report that had me quite disturbed. He said, and I quote, "It was either good hair with nice waves or a 30-foot pull-up jumper. You know what I chose."
Negro, please.
This was his reply to why his hair looked the way it does. Man, listen, I'm no hair care professional, but I know damn well your hair wasn't that bad to where taking care of your shit properly will keep you from learning how to play ball. I know plenty of niggas with good hair and straight lines that can shoot and dunk the damn ball, man. Look, just do yourself a favor. Either cut the shit, relax the shit, or cut it the fuck off. Because either way, what you got right now is not working for you. But listen, welcome to New York if you do come. And they do have master barbers that are willing and able, yes, to help you fix your problem. And finally, with April being International Black Women's History Month, I want to take a moment to say thank you and salute to all the black women across the world who have made strides with endless obstacles they're facing. I also want to send a special shout out to my New York Jets as well as Miss Colette Smith for making history back in 2017. They made history by making her the first and only black female professional football coach in the United States. She signed on with the New York Jets in 2017 as she made her coaching debut in the Jets preseason training camp that summer. Now, she is the 3rd female coach in NFL history, but again, the first and only black female coach in the NFL. So shout out once again to Miss Colette Smith, one of my favorite people from my favorite team, Jets, Jets. This episode was brought to you by Acme Crane Company, who did a masterful job of helping Paul Pierce pick his face up off the floor after Jalen Rose knocked it smooth off. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you guys next week. As always, I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in to the Shade and Shit Talking podcast. I really appreciate the love and support, the encouragement, all of that. And I look forward to talking to you guys each and every episode. I have a lot of things upcoming. Two of the biggest things that I have and I'm really excited about and really appreciative of, and I want to say thank you again for that, is I am approaching my 1 year anniversary of doing this podcast. That's huge to me. You know, it may not mean a lot to others, but the fact that I've done this for almost a year and had tremendous support from the start up until now that continues to grow is very rewarding, and I am very humbled and thankful about that. I am also approaching my 50th episode of the podcast, and 50 is one of those nice round numbers that we associate with a lot of things, so I'm looking forward to that. And also I'm approaching my 7500th download and listen across each one of the platforms in totality, so that's another number that seems like a good milestone, and one that I'm also very appreciative of. And I thank each and every one of you for putting me at that mark, and hopefully we can quadruple it within the next 2-3 months or whatever, however it goes. I thank you all for that. I also want to encourage you guys to check us out on Black with No Chaser. We're introducing a new series called The Climb, where we will be highlighting beautiful black women who have made strides and are climbing in their respective fields. We are celebrating International Black Women's History Month, very big on our platforms, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, our website www.blackwithnochaser.com, as well as on our radio station Black with No Chaser Radio on live365.com. So I encourage everybody to tune in to that as well. We'll be putting out a lot of positive, uplifting info, a lot of highlighting very uplifting individuals, so something we're all very excited about. This episode again was dedicated to the life, to the accomplishments, to the works, to the vision, to the love of Mr. Nipsey Hussle. I just again send my love and condolences to his family, and I pray for strength and give encouragement to those around him and his family at this time, because they are hurting. We all hurting. So I encourage everybody to continue to love one another, to continue to strive to grow and encourage one another. And this is just another obstacle that we will get through together. This is another incident where I hope we learn from and grow from, and not let this man's death be in vain. So with that being said, I thank y'all for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you guys next episode.
The podcast you just heard was made using Anchor. Ever thought about making your own podcast? Anchor makes it really easy for anyone to get started. It's a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free. Sign up now at anchor.fm/new. That's anchor.fm/new to get started.